Level 1. The Bookkeeper. You are 24 years old. You live above a laundromat in a town so small it has one traffic light. You graduated with an accounting degree from a state school nobody has heard of. You work for a strip mall tax office that does returns for $80 a pop. You wear the same 3 shirts on rotation. Your father was a farmer who went bankrupt when you were 12. You watched the bank take the land in a single afternoon. You decided that day you would understand money better than anyone who ever took something from you. You are good with numbers in a way that borders on strange. You can look at a page of figures and see the story hiding inside them. Debits and credits are a language. Most people are illiterate in it. You are fluent. A man named Ochoa walks into your office on a Tuesday in March. He owns 3 restaurants and a used car lot in town. He needs someone to handle his books, quietly, permanently. He pays cash for the first meeting, more than you make in a month. You do not ask why a used car lot needs a forensic-level accountant. You tell yourself you're simply good at your job. That is the first law you tell yourself. It will not be the last. You take the job. You clean up his ledgers within a week. The numbers do not add up the way normal businesses' numbers add up. Too much cash, not enough customers to explain it. You notice. You say nothing. Saying nothing is its own decision, and you make it. You start working late, alone, with his books spread across your kitchen table. You find the pattern eventually, the way you find every pattern. The restaurants are not selling food. They are selling a receipt for money that came from somewhere else. You have heard the word laundering only in movies. You are watching it happen in your own handwriting. Your hands shake the first time you fully understand what you're looking at. You think about walking away. You think about your student loans, your father's farm, the 3 shirts. You keep the job. Ochoa pays you triple your salary in an envelope. No taxes, no questions. You buy a better car. You tell your mother you got a promotion. She believes you because she wants to. Level 2 begins the night Ochoa introduces you to a man who is not from this town at all. Level 2. The Cleaner. You are 26. The man from that night was named Reyes. He did not work for Ochoa. Ochoa worked for him. Reyes represents an organization that moves product through 3 states and money through places you have never heard of. He sits across from you in a diner and orders black coffee and says almost nothing for 10 minutes. Then he asks you one question. He asks if you can make $1 million disappear and come back clean on the other side. You say yes before you have fully thought it through. You have never touched $1 million in your life. You are about to touch hundreds of them. He gives you your first real job, not restaurants this time, a chain of coin laundries, a construction firm, a small chain of nail salons bought under names that are not his. You learn to build a business that looks completely ordinary from the outside and exists only to justify cash that has nowhere legal to come from. You learn the layers. Money goes in dirty at the bottom. It moves through invoices, loans between shell companies, foreign accounts, real estate purchased and quickly resold. By the time it reaches the top, it has a paper trail that says it came from nowhere sinister at all. You do not build this system alone. Reyes assigns you a mentor, an old man named Beltran, who has done this for 30 years and never once been indicted. Beltran tells you the rule that becomes your religion. The money is never the risk. The pattern is the risk. Never do the same thing twice in a row. Never let a number repeat in a way a machine could notice. You move out of the apartment above the laundromat. You buy a house with a fence and a 2-car garage. Your mother visits and cries at how far you have come. You do not tell her how far down you had to reach to get here. You meet a woman named Elena at your cousin's wedding. She is a nurse. She asks what you do for work. You tell her you are a financial consultant. It is technically true. It is also the second lie you have learned to tell without flinching. You marry her within a year. You do not tell her about Reyes. You tell yourself you are protecting her. You are protecting yourself. Level 3. The Structurer. You are 29. Beltran has taught you everything he knows, and you have already surpassed him. He is old school, cash and shell companies, and patience. You bring something he never had, real financial engineering. You start layering money through legitimate-looking investment vehicles, property developments that never quite finish, import-export companies trading goods that are worth less than the invoices say. You learn to work with lawyers who ask no questions because the fee makes the questions unnecessary. You learn to work with a banker 2 states over who looks the other way for a monthly retainer that changes his family's life. Everyone in this chain tells themselves the same lie you tell yourself. I am just doing my job. I am not the one selling anything to anyone. The volume grows faster than you expected. What started as $1 million a year becomes 10, then 30. You build spreadsheets that would make a Harvard professor weep with admiration, except no professor will ever see them. You keep no copies anywhere but your own head and one encrypted drive buried in a place only you know. Reyes starts calling you directly instead of going through Ochoa. That is a promotion in this world, and you feel the pull of it the way you once felt the pull of a passing grade. You want to be good at this. You hate that you want that. Both things are true at once. Elena gets pregnant. You hold her hand in the ultrasound room and feel something crack open in your chest, the same way it must have cracked open for every father before you. You promised yourself, silently, that this is the year you find a way out. You do not find a way out. There is no clean exit from a river this deep. You tell yourself, 1 more year. You will tell yourself 1 more year for a decade. Level 4. The Ghost. You are 33. Your daughter is 3 years old and calls you Poppy in a voice that undoes you every single time. You have built something that barely has your name on it anywhere. Every company routes through nominees. Every account sits behind a lawyer in a country that does not extradite. You have become what Beltran spent 30 years trying to be and never fully managed, a man who moves fortunes and leaves no footprints. Reyes trusts you with the organization's largest accounts now. You are laundering close to $90 million a year through a web so complex that even you sometimes need 3 days to trace a single dollar back to its origin. You hire your own team now, quietly, people who think they work for a boring holding company. You become, without meaning to, a teacher. A young analyst named Marcus reminds you of yourself at 24, hungry and too smart for the town he came from. You train him the way Beltran trained you. You tell him the same rule. The pattern is the risk, not the money. You watch him make the same mistakes you made, get greedy with a shortcut, panic over a discrepancy that is nothing. You sit with him afterward and calm him down the way Beltran once calmed you. You realize with a strange cold clarity that you have become the old man in this story now. The cost starts showing up in places you did not expect. You miss your daughter's first dance recital because a wire transfer needed your eyes on it at exactly that hour. Alina films it for you. You watch it alone in your home office at midnight and feel something you refuse to name. You are making more money than your father lost 100 times over. You still feel, some nights, like that 12-year-old boy watching a bank take everything his family had. You just cannot tell anymore which side of that memory you are standing on. Level 5. The Trusted Man. You are 37. Reyes is promoted within the organization, and he takes you with him, closer to the top than you ever imagined a bookkeeper's son could climb. You now handle money not just for one regional operation, but a network that spans borders. You meet the man everyone answers to exactly twice in your life, and both times you remember every word he said for weeks afterward. He does not raise his voice. He does not need to. Men who raise their voices are usually men who are losing. He is never losing. He tells you something in your second meeting that you carry like a stone in your pocket forever after. He tells you that in this business, the accountant is more valuable and more disposable than anyone else in the chain. Valuable because the money is worthless without you. Disposable because the moment you become a liability instead of an asset, you are simply a number, and numbers get corrected. You do not sleep well that night. You do not sleep well for a long time after. You start seeing a rival for the first time, a younger structurer named Villalobos who wants your position and is not subtle about it. He whispers to Reyes that you have gone soft, that a man with a wife and daughter is a man with too much to lose and therefore too much to leak. You do not fight him directly. You outwork him instead. You close a $40 million layering operation across 4 countries without a single flag raised anywhere. Reyes does not say much. He simply stops taking Villalobos' calls as quickly. In this world, that silence is the loudest praise he will ever receive. Level 6. The Architect. You are 42. You now sit at the center of a financial structure that would take federal investigators years to fully unwind if they ever found the thread to start pulling. You control something close to $600 million in assets moving through your system in a given year. You are no longer just cleaning money. You are advising on how the entire operation should be structured to survive decades, not just years. You think in terms of decades now, the way a fund manager thinks in quarters. You have built something with a strange, terrible elegance to it. Your daughter is 12 now. She asks you one night out of nowhere why you always look tired. You tell her it is just work. She accepts it the way children accept most lies from parents they trust completely. That trust sits heavier on you than any wire transfer ever has. Elena has stopped asking questions about the money years ago. You are not sure if that is peace or surrender. You are not sure there is a difference anymore at this altitude. Marcus, your protege, gets arrested in a routine traffic stop with cash in his trunk that should never have been in his trunk. You spend 11 sleepless hours not knowing if he will talk. He does not talk. He calls a lawyer whose retainer you quietly cover, and he says nothing to anyone for 3 days until he is released on a technicality. You sit with him, the way Beltran once sat with you. You tell him the lesson again, the one lesson that matters more than any spreadsheet. The organization forgives almost anything except a mouth that opens at the wrong time. He nods. He understands now in a way he did not before. Fear teaches faster than any mentor can.
Level 7. The Liability. You are 46. A federal task force forms 2 states over, built specifically to trace financial networks like yours. You learn about it not from the news, but from a source inside a regional bank you have quietly retained for years. The task force does not have your name. It has patterns, fragments, a shape in the dark it is starting to trace. You spend 6 months rebuilding structures that took you a decade to perfect, tearing down and rebuilding a machine while it is still running at full speed. You do not sleep more than 4 hours a night during this stretch. Elena finds you at 3 a.m., staring at a wall of numbers taped across your office. She asks for the first time in years if you are in danger. You tell her no. It is the biggest lie you have ever told her. Ochoa, the man who started all of this so many years ago, is arrested in a separate, unrelated matter. He is old now, tired, and the organization decides an old, tired man in a federal interview room is a risk they cannot carry. You never learn exactly what happens to him. You only notice that he stops existing in every conversation, the way a deleted file stops existing on a hard drive. You understand with total clarity what the man at the top meant all those years ago about numbers getting corrected. You start sleeping with your phone in your hand. Villalobos sees an opening in the chaos and takes it. He tells Reyes that the task force exists because you got careless, that a man this deep in should have seen it coming sooner. It is not entirely untrue, and that is what makes it dangerous. You were called to a meeting you were not told the purpose of. You drive there certain it might be the last drive you ever take. It is not. Reyes tells you to fix it. You have 30 days. Level 8, The Reckoning. You are 47. You spend the 30 days doing the most dangerous, meticulous work of your career, quietly dismantling every structure that could be traced and rebuilding cleaner ones in places the task force has never looked. You do it alone because trusting anyone else with this specific knowledge is now a liability you cannot afford. Marcus offers to help. You refuse him for the first time ever. You are protecting him the only way you know how, by keeping him out of the blast radius if this goes wrong. You succeed. The task force's case collapses 18 months later for lack of a single connecting thread, a thread you personally cut before they could pull it. Reyes calls you himself for the first time in years. He does not thank you, not in words. Men at his level do not say thank you. He tells you that your position in the organization is now permanent, untouchable, the highest an outsider has ever climbed. It should feel like victory. It feels instead like a door closing behind you in a hallway with no other doors.
Villalobos disappears from the organization entirely within the month. You never ask what that means. You have learned by now exactly what silence like that means, and you have learned not to ask questions whose answers you cannot survive knowing. Your daughter graduates high school that spring. You sit in the audience in a suit that costs more than your father's farm was worth, and you watch her walk across a stage, and for 1 hour you let yourself feel like an ordinary, proud father. Then your phone buzzes and you are the architect again.
Level 9, the number. You are 51. You control the financial architecture behind an empire worth billions spread across a dozen countries, wearing 100 different names, none of them yours. You are, by every practical measure, one of the most powerful invisible men in the entire hemisphere. You have a house you cannot fully enjoy, a fortune you can never spend openly, and a family that believes you sell insurance for a living. You have everything except the one thing you wanted at 24, which was simply to be good at your job without anyone getting hurt. That version of you is a stranger now, someone you remember the way you remember a childhood house. A single discrepancy appears in a routine audit of one shell company, $4.11 that should not exist. You know before anyone tells you exactly what that number means. It means someone below you made a mistake, or someone above you is testing whether you still catch every mistake, or someone outside the organization has finally found the thread they have been hunting for years. You do not know which. You may never know which. What you do know, with the same cold clarity Reyes gave you at the top all those years ago, is that in this business, the accountant is valuable right up until he becomes a number that needs correcting. You sit alone at 3 a.m. with the $4.11 glowing on your screen. Your daughter is asleep down the hall. Alina is asleep beside an empty side of the bed. You think about your father losing everything in a single afternoon, and you think about the empire you built so that would never happen to you again. And you understand, finally, that you built a different kind of collapse instead. One that could take everything in a single phone call instead of a single afternoon. You open the ledger, you start tracing the number. Somewhere out there, someone is tracing you back.